Yes, lovely people. How are we doing? Lee Judges, myself are back in the house to talk all things Arsenal. This weekend, the Premier League was back. It's not over yet because tomorrow night Spurs have got to play Leicester, but it's been a good weekend so far. The sun's been out, it's been shining. I've definitely caught it. Look at this on camera. I look about as red as Adrian Stock, which is always good.
Sunglasses on as well, haven't you?
Yeah, you can see the sunny marks, can't you? It's always good, mate. It's always good. I always say I'm a bit of a drumstick squashy. I go white and red. Do you know what I mean? That's what I'm like. But it's not just myself and Lee today. We have got Adrian back. Adrian back from holiday, mate. How are you, bro?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Yeah, nice time away. Got a couple more weeks off and then back to school. So
I know, mate. Only 2 weeks left, mate. Enjoy it while you can.
Oh, that's far too quick. I bet you're gutted.
Yeah, listen, I know it's mad, and it goes so quickly, doesn't it? Big up to everybody who joined me over at Football's 12th Man. Thank you so much for coming over as well and joining us, myself, Lee, and Adrian. We're going to talk all things Arsenal Wolves from yesterday and talk a little bit about the transfer news. Fabrizio Romano suggesting that Mikel Merino is close to a here we go. So it's probably going to be in the 24 or 48 hours with that one getting done. And then, of course, we've got the question of who else? Is there anyone else? Are we going to go and get an attacker? We're going to discuss that as well. We're going to look at yesterday's game, where we thought we did well, where we thought there needs to be improvements, and what we thought of the game. Make sure you hit the like button, people. Make sure you hit subscribe as well. We're getting very, very close to 40k. We want to try and get there very soon. So please make sure you hit the subscribe button, which is free, and hit the like button. So please make sure you do those two things right away. Big up to everybody in the chat. If you've got any super chats you want to put in, any questions up on the screen, do throw a super chat in and we'll make sure that we put it up on the screen, discuss it as a team. Adrian, let's start with you because I've spoken to Lee about the game a little bit yesterday and it'll be good to get someone else's thoughts of it, what you thought of it, what you saw of it in terms of the highlights, match of the day, and of course the game itself. I thought it was a very comfortable victory, but there were moments where we looked a little bit sloppy and shaky. But what were your thoughts, mate?
Yeah, well, similar. I thought, first game of the season at home, I kind of said to a couple of mates, it'd be nice if we put a real marker down, but I was quite impressed with Wolves, actually. I thought they were quite resolute. They were quite strong in the tackle, weren't they? They made it difficult for us to play. I counted about 10 fouls on Odegaard. They really man-marked him yesterday, made it difficult. But, it's 3 points. I said to Lee just before we come on, at the final whistle, you could see 4 or 5 of the Arsenal players go down onto their knees, and they were knackered. Yeah. And I just think no matter what sort of pre-season you have and how hard you work, the intensity of the Premier League, no matter what game you play in, I think it took his toll on our players yesterday. It's going to take us a while to get up to speed. I think. I was certainly worried about the England boys. Rice, Saka, but look at Saka yesterday. He was outstanding, wasn't he? So
yeah.
But I was also speaking about Lee, about Pep Guardiola. He's not brought any back of the England players back yet, has he? So it's. I was a little bit worried about our start because we had a lot of players go deep into that Euros, and I did wonder how we would be. But it was a good win, and I think from now on we'll just kick on. But 3 points opening day, you can't ask for more, really.
No, absolutely, man. Yeah, it was interesting, Lee, wasn't it? I saw the bench today. Pep put Foden, Walker, and Stones all on the bench, and Rodri as well, who also hasn't featured yet. We're playing Declan Rice, Saka, and Raya, and Saliba. Just proves, doesn't it, how important our players are and how they can rest. I mean, they rested those players and still won the game comfortably at Stamford Bridge 2-0. It's going to be a tough season, Lee, with this opponent. I'll tell you that.
Do you know what? The man is a genius.
He is, isn't he?
Pep, he's a genius.
Oh, he is.
I'll tell you this now, right? There's a lot of people, pundits and everybody else saying, oh, they're not quite ready, they're not quite this, they're not that Man City, like, oh, they're not going to be quite ready. In one game, he's got me deflated. In one game, because they are.
I watched it as well. It was just too easy for them.
They're going to be right up for it, boys. Like, you know what I mean? There's going to be no drop off. You know what I mean? People turn around and say they might drop off a little bit and everything like that. There's no way that they are going to be dropping off. He was unbelievable with that selection today. Left all the big boys out. Now, he's done that at Chelsea away, right? We couldn't afford to do that with Wolves at home. And I mean this really, if we'd arrested Saka, I don't know if we'd have won that game yesterday because it was his two bits of class that win us the game. And it just tells you that they ain't going away. The only thing we can hope for is 115 reasons. I'll tell you, like, you know what I mean? So, They are not going away. The manager, is he going to be up for it? Hell, he's going to be up for it. I thought today, I didn't see all the game. I see little bits of it because I've been at Southend today, spending a day down there. But the bits that I see of it, total control, never looked in danger. As soon as they went 1-0 up, I said to my mate Mark, turn it off. They ain't losing this. And in the end, we forgot about it, carried on. And I was scoring in 2-0. Do you think Arsenal, and I'll be really honest, boys, I put this out to the chat as well, do you think Arsenal could go to Chelsea, leave out Saka, leave out Rice, leave out Saliba, right? Leave out Ben White and still go and beat Chelsea? I don't think so.
No, I thought it was pretty incredible, really. I mean, Rodri, people have forgotten that he didn't play. When Rodri did not play in the last 3 games, he was out last season. They didn't win a game, Man City. And what I saw today was Kovacic and Bernardo Silva in midfield that were coming up against the midfield that Chelsea have spent nearly 300 million on, by the way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And they were, in my opinion, the 2 best players on the pitch were Kovacic and Bernardo Silva. Bernardo actually got player of the match. I thought Kovacic was brilliant. And the goal that he scored, by the way, just walks past all their midfield. Somebody in my group chat, I think Maz, big up Maz, Brighton fan, he said, I see Caicedo and Enzo are doing the mannequin challenge. Just literally walked past them. And it was phenomenal. Rico Lewis as well, player people have forgotten about. He come in and he's a baller, by the way. This is going to be hard, man. This is going to be hard. And I must say, I agree with Lee. I looked at them today and I thought, I always had them to win. I had them down to win 2-1 today. But to win comfortably, it just proves how good they are and what we're up against, doesn't it, mate?
Well, do you know his Pep Guardiola did not get out of that seat virtually the whole game. He sat down the whole game and he just let his players get on with it. They're so well drilled. And no matter what Chelsea did, even when they were on top, they just got the ball back off them and they probably kept it for about 15 minutes. They just couldn't get it off them. It was just perfect in-game management from the whole side. And that's just, I don't know if you saw the interview afterwards, but Pep they asked him about his team. He said, well, I've been here 9 years and everyone knows each other. And it was just like, that was like the game today. Everyone knew exactly what they were doing. And Chelsea just couldn't get anywhere near them, really. Even when Chelsea were on top, they were never really on top, were they? It's just, I agree, Lee. It was a masterclass, wasn't it, of his team. And normally he's up in the technical area. I was watching every time it went on, he was just sitting down. It was too comfortable for him. So they're not going away at all. I agree, Lee. I don't think we could leave out our players and go there and do that.
Do you know what we were saying before? We were saying it, Adrian, before you come up. We was talking about it, and I said it as well. I think you said it as well, Dan. Statement win. 3-4-0 against Wolves. Just put out a statement and all that,
Awesome.
Right. Liverpool done well against Ipswich. I thought they won a statement win, but what they done there is they kept themselves in the game, stepped it up and won the game. Nothing spectacular, but they got the job done. Arsenal done the same. Didn't get, but then today, that is the perfect statement. That has just said everything to me today about what you're up against with Man City. I'm disheartened. I honestly thought that maybe today Chelsea would get a point, but they've gone there.
We don't know what this Maresca's about, do we? We ain't seen anything from him. And Chelsea got another new manager, and they're not
there is that, Dan.
You know what I mean?
I'll tell you what, I've got to be really honest with Chelsea. Let's be really honest. They have, and they may bring in Osimhen. There's talk about them doing that, right? They've spent millions and millions and millions of pounds. How many players in that team today would you, if you was a Manchester City player, would you say, right, I'll bring him to Manchester City? How many of those players in that team would you say, right, I'm going to bring to Arsenal?
2.
And who are they?
Caicedo and Palmer.
Right, okay. Right. Caicedo's not the player that we wanted 2 years ago, Dan, before.
No, he's not.
He's not the Brighton player, but I know what you mean. I thought he was poor today.
Yeah,
Cole Palmer, probably he's played today, you know what I mean? They're not going to leave him out. They've got 50 someone told me today they've got 50 professional footballers, right, on their books. 50 professional footballers on their books, right? And they can't leave out a player that's been playing in the Euro. You know what I mean? Like, they could have left him out today. They can't afford to. I know I'm not having a go at them for that. They can't afford to leave out Cole Palmer. That's what
Sterling
I'm saying.
was left out. Sterling
Was left out. They could have played Sterling in place of Cole Palmer. But what I'm saying is Arsenal couldn't leave any of their players out today. Like, I you know, Liverpool, like I see Trent was playing, like, you know what I mean? Oh, it's just, listen, I think you just got to, because you know why, he knows that later on in the season that those players are going to be needed and are not going to be knackered. And, you know, I'm telling you, like, you know, we cannot do that. We cannot do that. And I'm telling you that now, if you picked up the paper or the team sheet when we're going to Tottenham away or Man City away and 4 of our 5 best players are out, you would be sitting there going, oh no, like, you know what I mean? They've just gone there today and just walked a game of football with 4 or 5 of their players that will be in it against us in 3 or 4 weeks' time. And, you know what I mean? I'm watching Declan Rice yesterday, non-existent, coming off with cramp. Lots of statements yesterday where you know what I mean, like, I think he's rubbed his hands with it and said, right, I'm going to show everybody today. And he's gone and showed everybody. I just think it was absolute genius what he done today.
Yeah, it was.
Absolutely. If he got blown away, he got beaten today, people would probably criticise him, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, let's do a super chat and also say thank you to Red Smoke, who I know as Chris is now a YouTube member. Thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate that membership. If you do want to become a member, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, and click join, and then you can join as a member. At the moment, we only have 45 of you that hit the like button. Come on, people. You can do better than that. There's nearly 300 of you in here. So please make sure you hit the like button. It means so much to us. And hit that subscribe button as well. We're going to do super chat as well because Alex has said, Lee, evening team. Sorry I called you Baldy, Lee, on Saturday via a super chat. But overall, the game was good on Saturday. And this is the start. Pity City won. That did make me laugh. Big up, Alex. Thank you so much for the super chat, mate. I do appreciate it. Adi, let me come to you, mate, because the team sheet came out. There was no Kivior whatsoever. It looks like he could be off. Nelson and Eddie were still on the bench, of course. But other than Jesus and Trossard, with Fabio Vieira out as well, Smith-Rowe now leaving, there's definitely a couple of positions that we need to get in this transfer market, which we're going to come on to. But the actual team sheet itself, Zinchenko started, Timber and Calafiori not ready. Partey and Saliba and Rice we've mentioned. I thought looked a little bit sloppy in their passing. Rice, like you say, nowhere near good enough, in my opinion, and come off with cramp. Martinelli, I want to touch on him. Not quite working for him on the left-hand side. But for me, Saka, Odegaard and Havertz, I thought they were really good, mate, and showed their class. So what did you make of it yesterday? Who shone for you, mate?
Well, Saka, definitely. I was my brother's, he's got season ticket. I was chatting to him afterwards, and I just love the way he come. You know, as a defender, it must be so hard to defend against him because you want to shut him down the line, don't you? And what he does, Saka, really well, he fakes to go down the line, comes back inside, then fakes to go again, and then just makes that little bit of room for him, doesn't he? He cuts inside and he's back of the net. Yeah, he was outstanding. Odegaard, you know, he got kicked to pieces yesterday, but just kept going. I thought Havertz played quite well up top. He got his goal, but again, well, he's had a couple of chances, didn't he? Where you think, you know, a major striker would probably take. But I was having not an argument, but a little discussion about Havertz. You know, Havertz didn't get going for us until January, did he, last year? So, you know, if he can get going now, he's got his goal, and I think he will. I think, you know, he could hit 20 goals this year. I mean, and people might be thinking, no, he ain't going to do that. But he got 14 last year in, 5 months? So, but I just think, again, the Premier League is unforgiving, isn't it? And Wolves put a big shift in yesterday. They made it difficult for us. You know, they put 11 men behind the ball, and that's what teams are going to do against us at the Emirates. But it's hard. It's first game of the season. You know, players weren't at the levels that they should be. But I'm with you though, Dan. I mean, with the Euros, we lose. And it looks like what Paul Merson said, didn't he? See, could be a couple of injuries away from having a difficult start to the season. We lose Saliba or anything for our spine. We haven't got the depth on the bench as yet to probably step in like Pep did today with his team. He puts players in, they do the job. So we do need some reinforcements. But I was having a discussion today about the likes of Eddie and Nelson. No one's really taking him, are they? Especially in Nketiah. And I think sticking him on 100 grand a week on a 5-year deal. That's got to be a stumbling block for most teams. I really thought Bournemouth would come for him, but they just straight away went for someone else and got him through the door. So I do wonder if we are going to get these players out, because if we do get them out, it's homegrown money, isn't it? It's a pure profit for the club, which will help us in the transfer market. But we haven't got long left. We need to get Moreno through the door quickly. It's been dragging on for how long now? But it's not just that we do need some better recruits on that bench, because Timber, Calafiora, they're going to take time. And I do worry about the Euros, if I'm honest. I'm worried that players are going to come up short with possible niggling injuries, like you get when you've had a long summer. Because they haven't had long off, really, have they? The likes of Saka and Rice. I think it's a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks in all. And they're straight back in, aren't they? I mean, the team was no different from what the team was last year, really, wasn't it? It was the same 11 and the same subs that come on. So we've got to. I think we need two, possibly 3, but I'm not sure we're going to get them unless we can get people out the door.
Yeah, I mean, we've got to try and get some outgoings. Nelson's got to go. Ramsdale, I think, needs to find a new club. Kivior, Eddie Nketiah. I don't think we're going to get 3 or 4 in, though. That's for sure. Looks like we're going to get 1 or 2, to be fair. That's
how can you legislate skip 20 million like that? I mean, come on.
Has he gone for 20 million?
20 million like that. I mean, that's what it was. It's been accepted by Tottenham.
Who signed him?
Leicester.
Oh, Leicester.
It's been accepted. Like, I bet they bit their hand off for it. Like, you know what I mean?
I can't believe that. And they wouldn't pay that for Nelson.
I just had a go at my son, you know what I mean? Like, he's played against Skip a few times in schools and things like that. And I said, he's just gone for 20 million, you're not worth a penny, mate. You know what I mean? Like, bloody joke, you know what I mean? So
what's happening?
So what's going on there? Like, you know what I mean?
That is mad. I mean, like, if we can't get this is what I mean. Like, I
think AD said it though, Dan. Is it the wages?
Yeah, I wonder. I've said this. I asked this question on my channel. Everybody told me it was the best thing to do. It was the absolute master stroke from Arteta to put them on 100k a week, because that means you hold their value. Yeah, we've held their value, all right? No one wants them. That's why we've held their value. That's how good it's worked. This is a thing. Marseille have offered £24 million for him. We've rejected it. They can't offer more because they need to pay him 100k a week or close to it. That is a problem for clubs like Marseille who've got no money. Like Leicester, they wanted to pay about 15 million for Nelson loan obligation because he's on 100k a week. So I think there is a problem. I hope we don't end up stuck with them, because I spoke to Harry yesterday, right, outside the ground, and me and him were actually agreeing, which is quite rare for me and Harry. But we both said we should have accepted that Marseille bid, a 27 million euro. We 100% should have let him go, and then you move on. And people are saying, "Nah, that's madness. We're bad at selling. We can't moan about being bad at selling and then get rid of people for cheap." Is that cheap? I mean, Smith-Rowe was 27 million with add-ons. Eddie Nketiah works out 24 million, about 3 million less than Smith-Rowe. That's about right, because he is not good enough. So you get rid of him. I don't get it personally. It is a madness for me.
What I'm going to say now over the next 2 weeks is very interesting. I think it does affect Arsenal, right? Is because I'm looking at it now, right? And I've been looking at it. Chelsea, right, have got to sell players, right? They have got to sell players. Now, Mudryk, for instance, is worth 80 million, yeah? Or do they pay 80 million for him and all that, like, I don't know if it's going to be him. But just hear me out. Let me land, as they say. Let me land on this one, not let me land. Right, they are desperate to sell players. Yeah, okay, right. This so realistically, we're not desperate, are we? Like, we're not in that desperate, like, say, let's see how many they do and get rid of them to what we do. Like, now I'm being serious. Like, if someone comes to you with Chelsea, I don't know, just name a couple of players there. Like, I'm just one of them coming up. There must be others. Yeah, how much? Like 20 million. Yeah. I'll give you 5. Because they're desperate to sell. Like, you know, otherwise they've had it. Like, do you know what I mean? Listen, Rizzo, I'm not saying that we go and buy these players. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean? Like, they are going to be, they're desperate. If they do not sell players, Chelsea, right, they are gone, like, you know what I mean? Like, from the financial thing. So there's
desperate. They get away with it, Lee. How do you get away with it? I don't know how
they're going to get away with it. Apparently, I've just seen on Twitter, they've got to sell players. Otherwise, if they do not sell players, it's just sort of said, I know you can't believe on this, like, if they do not sell players, right, they cannot balance the books and will be done for their thing, right? So there's players, you know what I mean, like that be sold, right? Surely, you know what I mean, if they are selling it, you know, how can you, if they get decent money for some of those players, you know what I mean? I'll be really honest with you guys. They was in the same position last year, and we bought Havertz for 65 million. Not, I'm having a go at that now. It looks a good, but at the end of the day, perhaps, you know, if we knew they was in such desperation like this season, we know we could have got him for 40 million. Do you know what I'm saying? But they sold a couple of decent players. I think they sold him for 65. Kolovic for 30 odd million. They got out of it, like, do you know what I mean? But they cannot do it again this time around. Like, is that right, Adam? Sterling is on 300 over 300 grand. How are they going to get rid of him? If they get rid of him before Eddie, something has to be said. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, there you go.
Yeah, facts, mate. Facts. Big up, Reese is a new member of the channel. Thank you so much, Reese. Absolute legend. Thank you so much for that, mate. I really appreciate it. And Kyle Walsh, Gunner, has put in a super chat. Says, Dan, City are levels ahead of us. Our squad is too light. I do agree with that. I think it is still light. I don't think it's nowhere near as bad as it was a couple of seasons ago. It's definitely still light. I looked yesterday, boys. I've got to say, I still think there's a couple of players that need to come in here. I really do. I thought yesterday it was quite obvious because you look at the bench, you know, and I wanted to ask you both about the Yardman and Robbie argument, debate, / whatever it was yesterday on AFTV, because it was an absolute belter and it's well worth going and watch it if you haven't seen it on AFTV.
Was that Emery one?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So for me, I kind of I don't want to talk about the Emery and Arteta thing because I think that'll go on forever. But for me, when he said about the squad, and when Robbie said, "Look, you can bring him on for him and him on for him," and I thought, yeah, fair play. Robbie's got a point there. But there is a little bit more that we need on that bench, in my opinion, and it's quite simple for me. Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah need to be replaced from the bench, in my opinion. So if we are going to sell, lads, and I'll throw this to you, Aid, right? If we're going to sell Smith-Rowe, Nelson and Eddie, come, no problem. That's absolutely fine for me. I loved Smith-Rowe, got time for Reece Nelson and Eddie. But if we're going to replace them, if we're going to sell them, we need to replace them. We can't say, get rid of those 3 and we've got Ethan Nwaneri, so we're all good. Because we're short, right? So we need to buy at least an attacker, in my opinion. And if you add to that, yesterday's bench, and when everyone's fit with players that we haven't got yet that we're going to get fit, when you can have Tomiyasu, Zinchenko, Timber, Calafiori, Jorginho, Trossard, Havertz, Jesus, there's 7-8 players there that you've got that you think, actually, they're pretty good coming from the bench. I'll take that. But we need to be able to have that bench, we need to bring in Mikel Merino and an attacker. And that, I think, is where we need to go now, because that for me completes the squad now, Wade, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard on Eddie and Nelson, but they've had their time now, haven't they? You know, if they're going to have a football career, they've got to move on. I mean, it feels like they've been in the squad for like 20 years, you know, and they're still very young. But no, I 100% agree with you, Dan. I think that if we can get them out the door and bring in, you know, fresh blood. You know what it's like, Lee, when you bring new players into teams, it just gives a big lift, doesn't it? And obviously, I think the Moreno deal is going to go through, isn't it? So that'll be a big plus. But he needs to use his squad better. this season, Arteta, and I think he will. I mean, look, he's an outstanding manager, and I do agree with Robbie. I think he's the second best manager in the league about what he's done to this football club. But I mean, I don't know what you thought about the lineup yesterday. Did you think it would be anything different?
No, I didn't. I predicted that lineup. I thought maybe Trossard or Martinelli could have been a flip of a coin, but usually when he plays the player in pre-season, he normally starts with him on the first game. So that was why it wasn't a shock to me that Martinelli started. And it weren't a shock that Zinchenko started because, one, he's played well, and two, the other two ain't quite fit enough. So for me, I thought that was fair. It was more looking at the bench thinking, if Eddie and Reece don't stay here, who's going to replace those players? If it's Fabi Vieira and Lewis Skelly, we might have problems. But if it is the new players coming in, like Marino comes in and hopefully an attacker, I think we're in a good position, Aid. I really do.
No, I agree. I think it will happen. I was listening to one of your casts, Lee. It was on your show, Dan. We're talking about, why have we not got someone in? And I agree with you, Lee, where it just takes like one deal, doesn't it, to happen, and then everything starts falling into place after. But I'm not sure forward-wise, like who that's going to be, because it looks like Tony's off to
Saudi now.
Saudi now, isn't he? Because he was left out today. So, I mean, I kind of don't blame him going there. He started late in his career and he's going to go and earn however much money. I mean, his room is like 750 grand a week or something. It's crazy. But, I mean, you take Tony out. I mean, who is there, like the calibre of striker that we talked about a lot last year, didn't we? About it's not about, you're bringing someone in for 40, 50 million. It's about bringing in that player who's going to take them chances in the big games, like the City games and things like that, where you're going to get one or two chances where we have not taken them, and I'm not sure who the attacker will be. I mean,
we had the conversation on the train yesterday. Like, there's four of us. Like, we all said, right, what striker do you want? And we all named four different strikers. You know what I mean? Like, from Watkins to Isaac, who are not going to be available, by the way. Coquerez probably is like available. Tony's another one, and Osman. You know what I mean? So really now, like, it's now that, as you say, like, Tony's going to Saudi. It's either Victor Coquerez is going to come in, or it's going to be nothing.
Yeah, because
Ottoman, I think. Look, I think Chelsea would do a deal with Napoli, which will see Ottoman come one way and Lukaku go the other. Lukaku won't be out of the loop no more. So that is definitely going to happen, without a doubt. So that Osman will go there. So it's either, and that's it, and at the end of the day, as I said to Dan, I'll say it on here, Arsenal can beat anybody 1-11. I know if that was the way it is, that, but the league is not won by a 11-man team; it's a squad. Even when you play in our football, AD, like in the vets football and all that, it's the squad. If you've got good 11 players, somewhere along the line, it will catch you out for one or two games. You know what I mean? That's when you need a squad of players that come in, and that is the problem. And Arsenal haven't got a big enough squad for it. As I said, I do agree with Dan that the squad's not strong enough. I do agree. And going on to what this argument is, this is so important next week that we beat Villa. So important, not just for the 3 points, because if we don't, all of those same people will come up about Uri Emery and all that, and blah 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 blah. Is he better than Arteta and everything like that? But at the end of the day, he got Aston Villa into the top four. Fantastic. He never done that with us, right? And at the end of it, I'm going to say it now, he was crap for us. Crap. You know what I mean? The reason he was crap for us because he wasn't backed by us. That's the truth of the matter. You know what I mean? Do you remember there was I got a little bit excited when he turned around and said, I want bloody hell, who's a Crystal Palace player? Zaha. I wanted Zaha, and we ended up getting Pepe. He was never back. Do you know what I mean? You look at it with with Arteta. I want this, and the club have backed him. I want Aubameyang gone. He's been back. Everything that Arteta's done, he's been back with, like, oh, well, I want £100 million Declan Rice. We give you that, like, they weren't going, we give you somebody, we give you a Rice light and give you, I don't know, the player that's just got my fucking brain's going, like, do you know what I mean? Like, who's the player that's just got Ipswich?
Calvin Phillips.
We're not saying, like, I want to get like that. That's the same situation, right? Or I want Declan Rice. Oh, well, I can't give you Declan, mate, but we can give you Calvin Phillips. You know what I mean? Like, so he was not given the right backing where he's getting the right backing at Aston Villa, right? But at the end of it, like, I'm going to be really honest with you. I don't care what anybody says now. Either Mikel knows he's got something up his sleeve, or he's going to be, he's up there on the firing line. I.e., if Arsenal don't go and buy nobody, he has come out on record and said, I've got good forwards. I'm happy with my forwards. Once you say that, you're there to be shot down, like, and I think he's a very, very intelligent man, Mikel, so maybe he knows something. But I tell you this now, if he loses to Aston Villa and we don't go and get anybody in September, so by the end of the beginning of September, the pressure is going to be mounting on this bloke because there are, whether you like it or whether you don't like it, there are vultures out there outside the Emirates. They're waiting for their piece of meat, and if he doesn't deliver, him and Edu are going to get it. They're going to get it. Like, I think they get the Mourinho one through, but that's not enough, boys. That is not enough.
No, we've got to get an attacker. We've got to go and get a forward, in my opinion. And who that is a big question mark. Is it Gyökeres? Is it a winger?
Dan, it's difficult when you see Havertz play like he did yesterday. He's a perfect number 9. Physical, scores a goal. It's very, if he continues to go on that front, I agree with Adi, he could get 20 goals this season. It's going to be very hard. But he ain't going to be able to play there week in, week out, like, what I mean? You need something different, like, And I'm sorry. At the end of it, if you're bringing off Havertz, because he's not quite doing it, Jesus is very, very similar to him, like, I know he does a little bit different with tricks on it, but they're not. We need something completely different to that as well as Jesus as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that we're strong enough to win the league with the squad. Definitely strong enough with the 11. And I don't think anybody would argue with that, like, But my God, if we don't beat Villa next week, and Emery gets it, it'll all be those things coming up next week. Emery's better than Arteta, and honestly, guys, I do not want that 2 games into the season. Like, the season's just started. I want us to, 100%. I want everybody to get behind Arteta. I know that's not going to happen, and they do. But if they don't do nothing in this window, I do believe that it's going to turn against them. I do, and if I really do, and I'm
that's
worried.
What I think we will. That's what I think we will, because I think they know that we need an attacker for sure. This Unai Emery thing. I mean, I was right in front of me, Yardman. I went on after Yardman, so Yardman and Robbie were absolutely going at each other, sort of big time.
I see
it is unbelievable. Look, if you look at the CV of Unai Emery, he's clearly better than Arteta, right? Arteta was just started his career. He's 5 years in. So Unai Emery's got a better CV. He's won bloody 4 Europa Leagues, for goodness sake, all right? So I don't think the question should be, who's the better manager then? I think who is better for Arsenal? It clearly is an Emery, right? Because Emery didn't work out for him.
Right analogy.
So that is the way you look at it. Is Unai Emery better than Arteta? Of course he is. Look at his CV. Arteta hasn't had 4 Europa Leagues with 3 different clubs, does he? But who's right for Arsenal right now? It ain't Unai Emery, in my opinion, right? Now, Unai Emery might be better than 5 or 6 other managers in the league. Absolutely, go and have that debate if you want. But I think the question should have been, who is better for Arsenal right now? Because Unai Emery weren't backed. I don't think it was going to work for him. I didn't like some of his tactics. I didn't really understand why Lucas Torreira was trying to play in the Eden Hazard role, for example. So there were certainly things for me that I don't think worked out for him. But I think the question should have been put differently. That's my say on the Robbie and Yardman thing. I actually thought both of them would give them good points, but it was just too much ranting in the end that no one could actually get the point across. But for me, that was where I was at. But Lee is absolutely bang on, that we have to bring some players in. Now, it looks like Marino's coming in, which will be in the left 8. Calafiori's at left back. And I made this point with Robbie yesterday. I think that's going to potentially flourish Martinelli, and it needs to. Because yesterday I was disappointed with him again, really. That's not the fact he don't work hard. He's got the tenacity. He don't stop running. He's brilliant like that. Just weren't coming off for him. And I just want to get your thoughts on our left-hand side, because I've said for a while now that on the right, we look like we've got communication, telepathy and understanding. We all know that Saliba can play with White and that Saka and White are good together in the overlap. We know that Ødegaard's world-class in terms of how he can bring players into the game. But on that left-hand side, Martinelli's best season was when Saka was there, and when we had a left-back in Zinchenko that actually played every single game. Unfortunately, since there's been chopping and changing at left-back and left-8, Martinelli's not really been in the game. Now, you can't use that as an excuse because Trossard scored goals from there and Gabriel's been brilliant. But those two positions with Calafiori and Marino potentially coming in, do you think that could help Martinelli out?
Well, I spoke with Lee last week on the phone. It's your 11's like a puzzle, isn't it? And if you take one piece of a puzzle out, or a broken piece, if you like, the puzzle pieces around it are going to be affected, aren't they? You know, Martinelli last year. Well, let's go back to his season before, where you were right. We had Xhaka in there, and Zinchenko was playing out of his skin. He was playing superb, wasn't he? And he flourished. And unfortunately, you know, Zinchenko, he didn't have a great season last year, and it affected Martinelli. And if you look at our right-hand side, it's the same two week in, week out. They know each other inside out. And you need that puzzle at the back to be fitting in with your players in front. And if it's broken, you know, I think it is broken down the left-hand side. And we've just got to hope that Timber or Calafiori come in and, you know, mend it, if you like. Because Zinchenko, I don't think he's gonna play, is he really? But the thing is, on saying that, I still ain't seen enough from Timber that makes me think he's going to be the player that everyone thinks he is. Because, you know, although it's like a new signing, as they say,
Injury.
He was injured last year, and I know everyone's saying how good he is, and I've seen reels on YouTube, and don't get me wrong, he looks good, but this is the Premier League; it's completely different. And the same with Calafiori. You know, he's going to need time to bed in. So, you know, Arteta's trying to fix that down there, and I agree with you, Dan. If it starts to work, then Martinelli will, you know, he'll flourish more. But I agree again, like you said about Trossard. You know, Trossard comes in and he scores goals, but it's a big season for Martinelli. But I think it's also a big season for the coaching staff to get it right in behind him, to give him the space and the time and you know, the drive for him to become the Martinelli that we saw 2 seasons ago. You know, I think what did he get? 14 goals, 15 goals, 15. And what was it last year? 4, 5?
About that, yeah, about that.
That's a big drop off. And it's not big. I don't think it's much because of him. It's just what he's got round him. And you know, I've said to Lee before, and I've said to you, I think Martinelli could, you know, has the potential and the desire. I think the way he works in his training, that he could become one of the best players in the world. You know, if he can get things right. But again, if you haven't got the players round him, he's going to struggle. And I think what he tries to then do, he tries to do too much. I think, but also people forget about Martinelli, you know, his work rate getting back as well. He worked his socks off last year, not just offensively, but defensively as well. And people forget about that side of the game, because you think of Martinelli being one of our flair players. He should be scoring. He should be, you know, terrifying defenders. But he didn't do that much last year because Zinchenko wasn't as good in behind him defensively. Then he had to do a lot more hard work going the other way than going forward. But no, I agree with you, Dan. If he can mend that down that side where Martinelli can stay higher and instead of coming back 20, 30 yards like he was last year, then he'll have a better season, because he's a class act. You know,
he is a class act, man. You know, he's 22 as well, and you know,
exactly, like, 22. Exactly.
Yeah, he's a youngster still. You know, you forget about that because he's been around for a few years. But I mean, like Lee, he's one of my favourite players. I know he's one of your favourite players as well. Like, do you think he might need to be brought on and brought into the game a bit more now? I mean, Trossard's obviously really good and was fantastic in pre-season, I thought, particularly against Leverkusen. Do you think it might be like the wrong thing to drop him now after the first game and bring him on? Or do you think that might be what he needs, is like 20, 25-minute impact sub-type thing, and bring him into the game more there? And I'd love to get your thoughts as well about the left-hand side as well, because I think it's massive.
Were you talking to me, yeah?
Yeah, go on, Lee.
Yeah. Sorry, no, I don't think I'll drop him. I'll carry him playing. Listen, there was good things he done yesterday. There was things that he done. I don't think people appreciate what he has to do when you look at it with Saka. That right hand side is solid. You know, Ben White, Odegaard, Martinelli don't have to work. Ben White never goes missing in action. I don't mean that as a disrespect to Zinchenko. Zinchenko goes in all over the place. That left side's left a little bit more exposed, which he has to do a lot of running. Now, we've all played football at times. When you're bursting a gut to go 40, 50 yards back to cover your left back position, which he does on numerous occasions, doesn't moan, then we've got to then get into a forward role and then go again. Sometimes your legs are not quite as good. Where if you look at Saka, he doesn't have to do that amount of chasing back. That doesn't mean to say that Saka doesn't work, because he does. He does get back into shape and he does go from deep. What Saka does more differently is that he's a ball carrier and will carry the ball halfway from the halfway line, where Martinelli has to run back to defend. But we all know it's harder to defend than attack, yeah? So I get that, you know. What he's got to do, I don't think what he's done is very, very... and maybe teams have sussed him out a little bit, is that, you know, I've watched him a lot of times. He's got to learn how to beat his fullback again. I don't see him doing it a lot, like, you know what I mean? Like, what he would like, he likes to do, Martinelli, is drag him in a little bit, like let him try a fish and then try and go past him. But they don't. If you watch when they get Martinelli, they don't engage in Martinelli. They let him go, and then try and run him out of space and things like that. So he's got to get a trick into his game. I thought, look, listen, he put in a couple of good crosses yesterday. He sets up Havertz with a good chance after a good run. But Havertz doesn't take it. People forget about that, like, you know. But he's got competition there with Trossard. I see someone saying in the chat there a little while ago that, you know, if I was Trossard, I'd have the ump. Bloody right, I'd have the ump, because I think, like, you know, he was on form last season, scored a lot of goals. All of a sudden, he's not in the team. But professional football's a cruel game, and also it's a game that that you know what you're doing. He knows that when he come to the football club that Martinelli's number one in that position. Like, you know, they sort of know it a little bit more, and it seems a little bit harder to get in there. Like, you know, I don't like this thing where everybody's going, "Oh, Martinelli, drop him for that." But you know, Saka. I thought Saka done okay yesterday. I didn't think he was great yesterday. I thought like there was moments when he was very, very quiet, but when it mattered, he done the business. I don't see people turning around and when Rice has a bad game, or not a bad game, but hasn't played. Oh, well, he's not quite fit first game of the season. Well, it's believe it or not, it's the first game of the season for Martinelli as well. You know what I mean? Like, so, he's not quite up to scratch yet. Like, so, listen, I think they'd have done very, very well in a game. I do think against Aston Villa, I do think that Martinelli will become more of a key, because he's got that pace to get in behind players. And I think that if you look at Saka, who is quick. But if you was to say on his pace side of it, that's probably not one of his strongest parts. He's not no slouch, you know, but he ain't got the pace of Martinelli. Kai Havertz is quick, but he ain't as quick as Martinelli. So we need that pace in the side. We need that injection of pace, particularly away from home on the counter-attack. But he's got to deliver. Yeah, the thing with me is if he delivers, Arsenal will be there and thereabouts in the title race, like, you know what I mean? So he's an important part of it, like, and if he's not playing well and not doing the business, people are going to... That doesn't mean to say we're saying he's a bad player. We're realising that how good a player and what a big influence he is for us, but he needs to do it and needs to up his game. But that's not us criticising him. It's not being negative. It's the fact that if he ups his game to the levels we know he can do, we will be there and thereabouts. So it's a big season for him, like, you know. Trossard, you know, will get his chances. Of course he will, like, you know, and I think that they'll probably share games where they play some games he'll start, sometimes he won't do, like, you know. But listen, I think that Martinelli has got a big future at Arsenal. I wouldn't drop him in the side. But the left-hand side, it's no coincidence looking at Marino going in there. I like Declan Rice in that role, I've got to say, but he's not naturally left-footed, Dan. So sometimes you have to come in on your side and all that, like, you know. But I don't want to. I didn't want to see, you know, if we'd have signed Marino 2-3 weeks ago. I'm not saying 2-3. You know what I'm saying, like, because it's a little bit harsh. But he could have come on and played in place of Declan Rice yesterday. and you know, you think to Declan Rice, you have a couple more weeks off, son. Like, you know what I mean? We can't afford to do that in a minute because we haven't got these players. And I think that we still need that squad and that left hand side for me again. We're now, if I be really honest, this say about it, it's not been quite right for a year now, and it's still not right. It's still not addressed it. It's still not. It's still Rice in there. Zinchenko. I have to say this, guys. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he done well yesterday. Right? I thought he played well yesterday. The first time he made a bad pass, right? I heard the crowd getting onto his back, like, yeah. I see Saliba make 4 or 5 bad passes yesterday.
Yeah.
I see Partey make 3 or 4 bad passes. Nothing like he makes 1 bad, and then everybody's turning around and saying, "Oh, what a great performance that was from Timber yesterday." I see Timber give away a ball yesterday in a corner, like, you know what I mean, turned inside, then turned inside. If Zinchenko had done that, we'd be going mad. You know what I mean, like, and then all of a sudden he's had a 5-minute cameo, by the way, which he done fantastically well. Well pleased that he did. He looked really sharp. That's it. He's in against Aston Villa. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, wow, you know what I mean? There's some people get a little bit more time than others. For me,
I'd rather have Timber against Villa, though. Would you, Lee? Defensively than Zinchenko? I mean,
I don't know. I've not seen Timber.
Yeah, that's my problem.
I've seen Timber play a couple of games in America, and he was fantastic. I'm not seeing him play in the Premier League then.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Do you not think he's better defensively then, or are you saying you don't know?
Look, listen, I'm not before his knee injury. Yes, and no arguments about that, like, you know. But I don't know. I
agree with you. The hate is mad when someone's give away a pass. The reason they're doing it, whether you agree with it or not, is because a bit like the Granit Xhaka thing, innit? Like, where for 7 years he was making mistakes, and then every time I did it was like, typical. I feel like Zinchenko's kind of in that bracket now, where it's like, surprise, Zinchenko's give the ball away again. Whereas I think when Partey does it, it's like, he's got enough credit in the bank, he's quality. Saliba, he's got enough credit in the bank, it's one-off. Timber, he's injured, he's going to be rusty. I think there's more excuses for the others, whereas I think with Zinchenko, it's like, he's had a brilliant game, he's given away the ball, and it's like, oh, here we go, typical Zinchenko, giving the ball away again. So I think that's where that comes from. There's no credit in the bank with Zinchenko. I personally would play Timber against Villa because I think he's better defensively.
I've got no argument with that, Dan, if you want to go there. Yeah. But I will say 2 years ago when we played Spurs at the London.
Oh, he was brilliant. He was one of the best players.
Best player on the park.
He was.
So he's got it in his locker. So just, but is
I think there could be games like that, Lee, just quickly where we can do that. Like you think, right, Zinchenko, this is right. This one's right for Zinchenko. This one's right for Tim. But that's how you use your squad, innit? Do you know what I mean? I don't mind that.
Lee, we had a conversation, didn't we, about it? And I watched his interview after the Leverkusen game where he played really well, didn't he, Zinchenko? And he said that last year I had a really difficult year on and off the pitch. And it got me thinking about him, actually. There's a war going on in Ukraine where he's got family over there, isn't he? His form dipped at the club, probably because that would have had an effect on him. Because I don't know what it's like for a family to be in a war, and I could see the interview, and I could see in him that I think he struggled. And I'm not just saying that because of what's going on in his private life, but he did mention my private life wasn't great, and it just got me thinking. I think these are human beings that we expect a lot of week in, week out, and we don't know what pressures they're having outside of the club. People might think I'm mad about saying it, but if your family's at war somewhere in your home country, that's got to have an effect, right? And I agree. I think he gets a bit of a rough ride. I think he's had a good pre-season, Zinchenko, and he seemed back to, I wouldn't say his best, but I do wonder. I know you talk about Timber, Dan, but I haven't seen enough of him to come in. I mean, he came on the other day, did a great turn, and then then he gave the ball away pretty cheaply, didn't he?
Yeah. I'd love him to start. I'd love Zinchenko to start. That's a good
I think he will. I don't think he'll change it.
Uzak didn't struggle against Fury.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Very good.
Listen,
I'd like him to start, but I ain't got a problem if he does change it in that thing. If he puts in Timber, you know what I mean, and then I would, not a problem. But
Well, I think it's clear, isn't it? It's clear with the signs that he's made that I think Zinchenko's probably going to be coming to the end of his Arsenal career the next season, maybe 2 seasons time. I don't know. You've brought Timber in last year where we expected him to play, but he's now got Calafiori in there as well, hasn't he? So
how I look at it, right? This is how I look at it, right? If you want to be really honest about it, you drop Ramsdale because he's not quite good enough with his feet, and you bring in Raya, right? And if you think Zinchenko's not quite good defensively, then you be as ruthless as you have with Ramsdale. You be with him. If, for instance, you think that Timber is better in there, right? You come in, Timber, against Villa, and you come in there and do the business. But that's it. And you come in there and you make sure that Leon Bailey, whoever on that left side is, you should prove to be the man, you know what I mean? And that's how it has to be. That's how it has to be.
I agree. But
Yeah.
I think he'll play at the weekend. I think Zinchenko will play.
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me. It really would not surprise me at all if Zinchenko plays because he's been good.
Yeah, I think we all want to see Timber, don't we? We want to see what he's all about, and we know he
looked sharp, didn't he? He looked sharp, didn't he? Really.
We just
he looked very good in America. I have to say that, and the physique of him, wow, he's unbelievable.
He's a tank, isn't he?
Yeah, he's like a bit like
but
that.
The thing is, you got to remember he's been out with a cruciate ligament injury, and that's tough to come back from. So, but I want Timber in there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to blow Zinchenko to play every week because we know he does struggle defensively. And I think I give it 3 or 4 games. I think you will see Timber come in and he'll drop down to the bench. But I think reading between the lines here, we just want to see Timber come in and, like you say, Lee, just take that spot that he sees. Right, this is mine now. No one's going to get it off me, and have that game like possibly at Villa this weekend where he shows his class. But we don't see what they see week in, week out of the training ground, do we? So
no. The other thing is you know what I mean. Like if I get it that people saying Zinni's going to get done and everything like that. I'd like to see Zinni just play left back, see what it's like. He doesn't play just left back though, does he?
No, he doesn't. No.
So that's the thing, So if Timber's going to come in, I think Timber will be more reserved in there as a left back, you know what I mean? Now I don't know if Zinchenko can't do that. You just say to him, just play left back. I don't want you inverting. I'm pretty sure if Timber comes into that team, I don't think we'd be inverting so much. I think it'd be a lot bit more reliability on the 2 wide players to do the business. Be interesting to see that team sheet on Saturday at around about 4:15. Is it 4:15 now? It's another 15 minutes now, isn't it? So 4:15, sorry.
Yeah, 4 now. But I wouldn't surprise if Zinchenko plays. I still think that he's going to do a job in the left 8 personally. But Arteta don't seem to want to play him there in midfield. But listen, boys, before we wrap up, I wanted to ask you a final question, right? If Marino comes in, we've got Calafiori and Marino. We don't know what's happening with the goalkeeper, but if Ramsdale does go, it looks like Juan Garcia from Espanyol is the goalkeeper that we're looking to replace him with. You can have one more player that Edu and Arteta are going to bring in. I want you to give me the name of that player because I've said the name of the player I would like to see, and it's Victor Gyökeres. I think as a striker coming in, he scored again this weekend for Sporting Lisbon. He's got 58 goals and assists now and 50 appearances for Sporting Lisbon. He's got experience in England and in Portugal. I think with him coming in, Jesus goes and plays on that cover for Saka. I think that would be a fantastic signing. So that's who I would go for. Lee, I'll let you go last. So Adrian, let you come in.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm same Dan with you. I mean, when you went off air for a little while, me and Lee were talking about that. Like, who is out there who's going to come in and not? Now we all talk about bringing these, Tony in and all these big strikers, but they've got to fit the mould of how we play. And you've probably got Osman going to go Chelsea, isn't he? So that's him gone. Tony looks like he's off to Saudi, so that's him gone. And who else is there? The pool of strikers now, because the way the game's played these days, it's not about having that main man anymore, is it? They're not out there. So I agree with you, Dan. He's the only one that we should really go for. It's going to cost a mint. He's going to cost a lot of money. But I actually can't think of another striker that will come in. You're not going to get Watkins. He's going to be at Villa. You're not going to get Isak. He'd be the one I would have.
Yeah, 100%.
So who's left? And really, he's the only one left then. But it's not a bad player left, is it, really? So he would be the same as me. I think Lee would probably agree.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like, I would go for him. Like, I see someone like says, Ferguson. He was like sought after last season, but he just dropped off the ball. One because he's young. You know what I mean? So I do feel that if Arsenal were to go for someone, it's got to be someone that's ready made. It's got to be like that's going to get us over the line a little bit, like, And I honestly feel now like that he's the only one available. If not him, I'm going to say like I don't think there's any other forwards out there realistically. So I would go Eze.
Yeah, I would like to.
I think it's difficult though because you got Havertz he's going to have a good season. So if we bring someone in, he doesn't play, does he? So it's not easy.
Well, Havertz can play in a different position. He can play different positions, and I just think that you just need that. That's the problem.
Do you agree with that though? Because I don't think Havertz can play when he drops. When he drops,
no. Like the thing is, and you're right. What you're saying is that Havertz, even if you bring in Corcoran or whatever his bloody name is,
I don't know. That's why I'm not saying it.
Victor G.
If Victor comes in, this is what they may think of that. Like, you know what I mean? He ain't going to get that many chances. So it may be like someone like a Ferguson that's why I think they went for Sesko, like, who's not quite ready, like, so they may decide to go like for someone that's not quite ready that they can bring in, and be a backup to Havertz, which is what it's hard to say. Like,
what's he costing? 80?
Well, it's going to cost a lot of money for a backup, you know what I mean? But listen.
Yeah, but you don't spend 80 million on a backup, do you? This is where the dilemma is, isn't it? Now, we know we need that player, but when Havertz is, he's really come good for us, isn't he?
I don't think if we sign Gyökeres, Havertz is going to start. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think it's bad bringing on Havertz with 25 minutes to go. I don't think it's bad starting Havertz for a couple of games and then bringing back Victor Gyökeres and using your squad. I don't think it's bad bringing on Jesus and Saka. Sit this one out. We'll bring you on if we need you. I think that's what we need to do.
It works that down, isn't it? There's a lot of players come from that league for a lot of money and have done nothing in the Premier League.
Are we saying that Victor's better than Havertz after what he's done in the last sort of 6 months, Havertz?
Listen,
we don't know.
They play in the Premier League. Until they play in the Premier League.
It's a different league. It's a different league, but I ain't seen Havertz putting up them numbers. So we'll see. I mean, listen, Havertz got 15 goals last season, which was impressive. If he plays in the number 9, maybe he gets more than that because he obviously played in the 8 for Arsenal for the first half of the season. So maybe he does get more, right? But whether he's better or he's not, we need to bring someone in. We can't 1 minute go, we better get a striker, and then go, but he better not be better than Havertz. He better be behind my mate Havertz.
I'm not saying that. I'm just thinking what Arteta. I mean, Arteta trusts Havertz, doesn't he? Now he's got 100% trust in him.
Yeah, but like I still think you need someone else. I do.
100%. Eddie's got to go. Unfortunately, it's a shame, but but if we don't get rid of him, or I say get rid of, if he doesn't go, that's 3 strikers we've got on there with a lot of money. How do we fit him in?
Like the Ferguson one could work. I know, like people would laugh at that, but that could work. That would be then he would be the backup. You know what I mean? Like but I don't think that's going to get you over the line.
No.
What I'm saying, and I think you're saying this as well, Dan. You're relying on then Havertz to hit numbers of what he has done in from January to May. He's got to have the wonder season that we're hoping that he has. But I think at the end of the day, then you're putting a lot of pressure on Havertz as well. Like, you know what I mean? Where I think if you've got that sort of player in, you're saying, right, well, if you're not doing the business, it ain't the end of the world. You can have a break here and all that. And you can also, I don't think, if Havertz continues on the scale he's going at the moment, his confidence is going, maybe he can play in different positions and do better at them this season. Don't forget when he played in midfield last season, he was playing under zero confidence. He's now got confidence that you could say, well, I'll tell you what, we'll play you in place of Odegaard today, or we'll play you in place of so-and-so, like, you know, with the confidence you got, like, you know. So I don't know. I do when I look at Havertz, he does look like he's got a lot more confidence. And what I see of him yesterday, he was shooting when last season he was looking to pass. And he was a handful yesterday, and everything that you wanted from a centre forward. So it's an interesting one here, like. But you look at
it's the money, Lee, though.
I look at Havertz. I look at Havertz yesterday, and I look at Haaland today. Does Havertz score that goal that Haaland scored today? I don't think he does.
No, I agree.
But will Victor? Maybe he does. And in a games like that, maybe that's what you need. Maybe that's what you need to get you over the line. So, listen, I'll be very, very disappointed if we don't bring in a striker. I will be.
Yeah,
I will be disappointed.
Yeah, so will I. Listen, last season we had games where we needed a killer. And yesterday, I mean, listen, I thought Kai Havertz was really good yesterday, but he sits there in the middle all the time in the world with his right foot and skies it wide and fluffs it.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that's where you got to get a killer in the box who don't miss those chances, you know. So
it's just the money.
Exactly that.
It's what you're paying for this fella. Because if you're paying near on 100 million, you know, you can't have an 100 million player sitting on a bench. And that means Havertz, you know, going to the bench or playing elsewhere. It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think what Arteta's probably thinking is that if Havertz hits the ground running and hits the numbers that he did from January to May, but we're not even talking about Jesus here, are we? You know, we've not even touched on him because I think the way we're talking is that we're kind of disregarding him a little bit, aren't we?
No, he'll come good. I think, like, you know, it's nice that we got him fit and sharp. He's looking sharp. He come on yesterday and looked sharp as well, like, you know what I mean? But
he's a class act.
He's not a goal scorer at the end of the day. He is not a goal scorer.
That's why I think he needs to be used as the Saka cover. That's what I think. And then you have Jesus and Saka, Trossard and Martinelli, and Gyökeres and Havertz. And then you go win the league. That's what essentially we want to be doing, is going and winning with these players, man. But listen, we're going to wrap it up there, man. Aid, absolute legend for coming on.
Yeah, no worries, man. As always, love it.
Hopefully next time you come on, don't wear a red t-shirt so I look like it, yeah? Because like this is getting redder by the minute, I think.
Get some after sun on, mate.
Yeah, that's what I need to do, mate. That's what I need to do. Big up to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for your memberships. Thank you for your super chats. Make sure you hit the like on this one. There's nearly 400 of you in here still, so please make sure you hit the like button. We have not hit 200 yet, so please let's make sure we get that up to 200. And Lee, I'll let you see us out, mate.
Yes, listen. I understand it's going to be a warm day again tomorrow. So if you are going out in the sun, make sure you take your sunglasses off for a couple of minutes so you don't get white panda eyes. Just a little bit of
good advice, Gavin.
Just a little bit of advice for all those ones out there, the sunglassing worshippers. Have a good night.